The envelope held $12,400 in cash and checks, wedding gifts sealed by manicured hands that had no right to them. Patricia entered the Wells Fargo branch on Monday morning, slid the envelope across the teller counter, and asked for a cashier's check in her own name.
Ma'am, these checks are made out to Christine and Eric. Do you have authorization?
I am their sister. I am handling their finances while they're on their honeymoon. Just consolidate everything into a cashier's check for me.
The teller flagged the mismatch. Branch manager Ronald Pierce, a veteran of 22 years, stepped out of his glass-walled office.
Miss, without a power of attorney or signed authorization, I cannot issue a cashier's check to you. These funds belong to the named payees.
This is absurd. I am family. I collected the gifts myself at the reception. Why would I steal from my own sister?
I am placing this transaction on hold pending verification. Provide documentation, or I will contact the account holders directly.
Ronald returned to his office, pulled a check from the stack, a personal check, from one Linda Henderson, and dialed the phone number printed on it.
Number. That's impossible. I never authorized her to do anything with our gifts.
But the money didn't start there. It began 6 days earlier at a wedding reception with 140 guests and a sister who offered to help. Christine, in white lace, said her vows with tears of joy. Eric, overwhelmed, could barely speak as the ring slid on after the cake was cut. Patricia in burgundy approached the newlyweds, her smile a little too practiced.
You two enjoy the party. Let me handle the gift table. I'll make sure everything is safe and accounted for.
Patricia, you are a lifesaver. I can't believe how much cash has come in.
Aunt Linda, in a floral dress, slid a check into the pile, her shaky handwriting spelling out Christine and Eric. Patricia stationed herself at the table, flipping through checks, stacking bills, her eyes calculating the total.
Between the cash and checks, there must be over 12 grand. This is too easy.
By the final song, the table was bare. Patricia sealed the loaded envelope and tucked it under her arm.
No one will trace it back to me. They're miles away on a honeymoon.
Patricia slipped out the side door, the loaded envelope pressed against her side. By the time she reached her car, the reception lights were just a flicker. Her apartment was dark and quiet when she got in. She locked the door and emptied the envelope onto the kitchen table. She sorted the checks by amount, then counted the cash twice. $12,400.
$12,400. More than I'd save in 5 years.
With a red pen, she drew a bold X across the payee line of the first check. Christine and Eric vanished under the ink. She wrote the total on the envelope's face, $12,400. Then she slid the stack into the envelope and sealed it again.
Monday morning, I'll walk into Wells Fargo and ask for a cashier's check in my name. They won't question a thing.
She rehearsed her lines. I am the sister, handling their finances while they're away. The lie felt smooth on her tongue. She tucked the envelope into her work bag and set her alarm for 8. The bank opened at 9.
Just one simple transaction, and all that money will be mine.
Meanwhile, on the sun-bleached island of Santorini, Christine and Eric were still floating on the afterglow of their wedding day.
I still can't believe how perfect it was. Everyone was so generous. The gifts, the cards. We're so lucky.
Your sister certainly took charge of the gift table. She was practically guarding it. Did you ask her to do that?
She offered. You know, Patricia, she likes to feel needed. I am sure she's already deposited everything into our account by now.
Eric had a flicker of doubt, but swallowed it. Today was for celebrating, not for suspecting his new sister-in-law.
To us. And to a future where nothing can break what we have. Not distance, not money, not anyone.
The ring on Christine's finger caught the sunset light, the same ring he'd placed there with trembling hands just days before.
I am so grateful Patricia stepped up. She's always been complicated, but blood is blood. She'd never hurt us.
Neither of them knew that back home, Patricia had already sealed the envelope, rehearsed her lie, and set her alarm for Monday morning. They believed themselves untouchable. Just one sunrise, away from a phone call that would shatter everything. Monday morning arrived with gray clouds over the suburban strip mall. At precisely 9:15, Patricia pushed open the glass doors of Wells Fargo. She approached the teller window with a polished smile and slid the sealed envelope across the marble counter.
Morning. I need to consolidate these wedding gifts into a cashier's check payable to myself. I am handling it for my sister.
Sister or not. Every check in the stack is made out to Christine and Eric. I should get the manager.
Don't worry, I've done this before. They're on their honeymoon. I am just making sure everything gets handled correctly.
The teller keyed in the deposit amount, $12,400. The system paused. A third-party deposit of this size required a manager override.
One moment, ma'am. This type of transaction needs my manager to sign off. I'll be right back.
A manager? Fine. I'll just say the same thing. They can't prove otherwise.
The teller disappeared into the back office. The clock on the wall ticked past 9:17. In a glass-walled office at the back, Ronald Pierce looked up from his monitor as the teller approached with a stack of checks. Ronald spread the checks across his desk. The payee lines were uniform, Christine and Eric. Not a single one bore Patricia's name.
Miss Patricia, could you step into my office for a moment? I have a few questions about this deposit. These checks are all made out to Christine and Eric. You are asking to consolidate them into a cashier's check in your name. That's a red flag.
I am their sister. I am handling their finances while they're away. It's a family matter, not a crime.
Do you have a power of attorney, a notarized letter, or any documentation proving your sister authorized you?
No, but I can get one. This is absurd. It's just a simple deposit. Why are you making this so difficult?
Without a word, Ronald turned to his computer and keyed in a freeze command. A red banner flashed. Transaction frozen. Pending verification. He picked up the receiver and dialed the number from the back of a check. The check from one Linda Henderson, payable to Christine and Eric.
You don't need to call anyone. I'll just take all of it back. This was a mistake. Let me go, and I'll forget this ever happened.
Ronald ignored her. The line connected, and somewhere across the Atlantic, Christine's phone began to ring. The phone on the terrace lit up. Wells Fargo branch manager. A call from halfway around the world. Christine answered with a groggy "Hello," expecting a billing alert, not the name of her own sister.
Patricia, what's she doing at a bank? We haven't even been gone a week.
Mrs. Steele, I have your sister here with $12,400 in checks payable to you and Eric. Did you send her?
Send her? I never gave her a dime. She was supposed to hold the gifts, not cash them.
In the bank office, Patricia's composure shattered. She could hear the anger bleeding through the receiver.
Let me be clear. You never authorized this deposit. I can freeze the funds and file a fraud report.
Yes. Freeze everything. And if she's pulled anything else, I want to know. This is my wedding money.
It won't move an inch, ma'am. I'll personally ensure the checks are voided and held for your return.
Christine set the phone down. The morning was no longer beautiful. Eric reached for her hand, but she didn't feel it. After hanging up, Ronald faced Patricia. Her arrogant mask had crumbled. Her eyes darted to the envelope still on his desk.
I've confirmed with your sister. You have no authorization. This deposit is permanently frozen.
Frozen? You can't just take my sister's money. I'll bring a power of attorney tomorrow. Just give me back the checks.
It's too late. Attempting to deposit third-party checks without authorization triggers a mandatory fraud referral. The checks stay here.
Fraud referral? If the cops get involved, I'll lose my job. I can't let this happen, please. I am not a criminal. I just wanted to help. You don't understand how complicated my family is.
I understand enough. The bank doesn't release funds to people who aren't on the check. Security will see you out.
Patricia's face twisted. Fear, fury, and the cold realization that she'd been caught. She grabbed her bag and ran. She burst through the lobby, past the stunned teller, and shoved open the glass doors into the gray morning. Ronald didn't watch her leave. He was already on the phone with corporate security, reading the account number and timeline. The lobby camera had caught everything. In Santorini, the honeymoon was over before checkout. Christine was already stuffing dresses into a suitcase, her wedding glow replaced by cold fury.
I am not spending another minute here while she's at home trying to steal $12,000 from us.
Christine. The bank stopped her. Nothing's been lost. Let's not let her ruin what we have left of this trip.
She walked into a bank branch and tried to cash our wedding gifts in her own name. That's not a mistake. That's theft.
Eric saw there was no reasoning with her. Within the hour, they were in a taxi to the airport, their paradise reduced to a backdrop. At the departure gate, Christine pulled out her phone and dialed Ronald Pierce. She needed to know the money was still secure.
Mr. Pierce, it's Christine Steele. I just wanted to confirm. Are the checks still frozen? Has my sister tried anything else?
She listened, nodded, and a tiny bit of tension left her shoulders. The money was safe, but the damage was already done. Then her phone buzzed again. A string of messages from their family group chat. Why is Patricia saying you had her arrested? How could you do this to your own sister?
She's already spinning the story. By the time we land, half the family will hate me.
In his office, Ronald reviewed the lobby security footage. The timestamp was indisputable. Patricia at the counter, 9:17 and 40 seconds. He printed 5 clear stills, each one placing her hands on the envelope and the checks. The red recording light on the ceiling camera had done its job.
This is Ronald Pierce, branch manager at Wells Fargo. I need to report an attempted fraud involving $12,400.
2 hours later, Detective Ross arrived at the branch. He was a no-nonsense man in a plain suit, already holding a folder.
You flagged this early, Mr. Pierce. Most of these cases get caught after the money's gone. You just saved that couple a world of hurt.
The lobby video captures her entire visit. I've also typed a witness statement with my observations and the call log with the account holder.
Good. With this evidence and the victim's statement, I can file a criminal complaint. I'll need a copy of the video on a USB drive.
Ronald had already prepared the drive. He'd been a branch manager for 22 years, but this was the first time he'd handed evidence directly to a detective.
I'll be paying Patricia a visit this evening. The footage is airtight. She won't be able to talk her way out of this one.
Ross left with the evidence. The case was no longer a bank dispute. It was a criminal matter. And the wheels of justice had begun to turn. Christine's plane touched down just after midnight. By 7 a.m., she was standing outside Patricia's apartment, pounding on the door. Patricia opened the door in a robe, her face flickering from surprise to a practiced smile. She hadn't expected her sister back for another week.
Cut the act, Patricia. I know about the bank. I know about the cashier's check. $12,400 in your name.
Christine, it's not what you think. I was going to tell you. I just wanted to consolidate it all for you. I swear, it was a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding. You crossed out my name on the check. The bank manager called me from Greece. You were standing right there lying to his face.
Patricia's rehearsed lines unraveled. She slumped into a kitchen chair, her eyes darting to the table, where she'd counted the money just 2 nights before.
I needed the money. I thought you'd never find out that I could just borrow it and pay it back before you returned.
Borrow. You tried to steal our wedding money. There are 23 checks from people who love us, and you were ready to pocket every cent.
Christine pulled out her phone and showed the frozen transaction alert, the voided check image Ronald had sent her. Patricia had no more excuses. The betrayal hung between them, heavier than any words. Patricia buried her face in her hands, but the damage was beyond apology. That afternoon, Detective Ross arrived at Patricia's door, badge clipped to his belt, and a thick folder tucked under his arm. Christine stood motionless in the corner.
Patricia, I have a criminal complaint for attempted grand larceny. That's $12,400 in checks payable to your sister.
He pulled out a tablet and played the lobby footage. Patricia watched herself hand the envelope to the teller, gesture confidently, then panic when Ronald appeared. Her hands shook as Ross handed her the complaint. The words attempted theft and criminal offense seemed to blur before her eyes.
This can't be happening. I didn't even get the money. They can't charge me.
You don't have to get the money to commit fraud. The attempt is enough. The bank's witness statement and your sister's testimony make this a solid case.
You crossed every line, Patricia. I am not protecting you anymore.
Ross handed Patricia a summons and a list of next steps: arraignment, plea options, and a deadline to retain counsel. The machinery of the law had engaged. He left the apartment as quietly as he had arrived. Christine followed without a backward glance. The door clicked shut, leaving Patricia alone with the weight of her choices. The criminal case was now official. For the first time, Patricia understood. The bank had been only the beginning. Patricia hired a lawyer within 48 hours, a sharp junior associate from a strip mall firm who argued the case was a family misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Christine's phone erupted. Her mother, her uncle, even a cousin she hadn't spoken to in years, all demanding she drop the charges. Aunt Linda's voice trembled on the line. She'd always been the peacemaker.
Christine, sweetheart, your sister made a terrible mistake, but she's family. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her?
Forgiveness doesn't mean erasing consequences, Aunt Linda. She tried to steal from us. The bank stopped her, not her conscience.
Detective Ross called to update her. The DA was reviewing the case, and given the evidence, they were unlikely to dismiss. Ronald's witness statement was 23 pages long. The video evidence was pristine. The case wouldn't crumble. Patricia's lawyer floated a plea deal: misdemeanor attempted theft, restitution, and an apology. No felony, no jail time.
A misdemeanor. After what she did. She has to admit it, publicly. And I want every cent back.
She hadn't forgiven Patricia, but she could accept a legal resolution that forced accountability. The family would have to choose sides. Christine sat with Eric at their kitchen table. The plea offer between them like a bruise neither wanted to touch.
A misdemeanor means she won't do jail time. Are you sure that's enough?
It's not about punishment. It's about her admitting what she did, publicly. I want those 23 apology letters and every cent back.
Eric nodded. He knew this was the path forward, even if it left a scar that wouldn't heal quickly. The terms were relayed to Patricia's lawyer. She was backed into a corner. A trial meant a felony on her record. In a cramped conference room, Patricia stared at the agreement. The pen felt like a branding iron.
This is humiliating. My own signature, admitting I am a thief.
She signed. The ink seemed to burn. The agreement was filed with the court that afternoon. Detective Ross confirmed the date, a hearing in 6 weeks where the judge would formally accept the plea and impose probation. The wheels of justice turned. But for Christine and Eric, the verdict of the heart would take much longer. 6 weeks later, Patricia stood before the judge in a courtroom that smelled of old wood and stale air. Her confidence had long evaporated. The clerk read the charge: attempted grand larceny. When the judge asked for her plea, Patricia's throat tightened.
Guilty.
The word came out strangled, as if admitting it aloud was a bigger punishment than any jail cell. The judge adjusted his glasses and read the terms: restitution of $1,300, 18 months of probation, and a handwritten letter of apology to each of the 23 gift givers. 23 individual acts of contrition. Christine sat in the front row, her hands gripping the bench. A single tear traced the curve of her jaw. Detective Ross stood near the door, his folder now stamped closed. The evidence had spoken for itself. Patricia never looked at her sister. She kept her eyes on the floor as the judge lowered his gavel and spoke. Sentence imposed. Christine and Eric walked out into the gray afternoon. Justice had been served, but the quiet between them held more questions than answers. Within a week of sentencing, Patricia withdrew $1,300 from her savings, money she had spent without permission. The bank released the escrowed funds and reissued the original checks, each now bearing a fresh void stamp and a note cleared for deposit by account holder. Christine received a call from the branch manager himself. The total, $12,400 plus reimbursed fees, was ready for her.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. You didn't just save our money. You gave us back our trust in people.
Just doing my job, Mrs. Steele. The system worked. I am glad the right people ended up with what's theirs.
The following Tuesday, Christine walked into the branch alone. She deposited the full amount into her joint account with Eric, the receipt printed with a quiet hum. The numbers finally aligning, $12,400 restored.
It's just paper, but it's our paper. The gift of 140 people who believed in us.
She stopped by Ronald's office to shake his hand. The man who had stopped the theft asked only that she pay it forward. The money was home, but the family account remained overdrawn with something no bank could settle. The hardest pen to lift was the first. Patricia sat at her kitchen table, a blank letter before her, and the weight of 23 confrontations pressed down.
Every time I write I am sorry, I see their faces at the wedding. They trusted me with that money.
She wrote 3 drafts before the first envelope was sealed. Then 4. Then 9. Each letter a separate admission of guilt. Christine received copies of every letter as they went out. She read each one, some contrite, some empty, and filed them away.
22 letters out. The 23rd is to Aunt Linda. That one will be the hardest for her to write.
The mailbox on the corner swallowed the last of them on a Thursday afternoon. Patricia watched them disappear, her face unreadable. Within days, Christine's phone lit up with calls from gift givers who had received the letters. Most were stunned. A few were furious. A message from Aunt Linda. I got the letter. I am so sorry I ever doubted you, Christine. You did the right thing.
That's what I needed. Not an apology to me, but to them. Now everyone knows the truth.
The letters were done. The public shaming was complete, but at family gatherings, an empty chair would be Patricia's permanent shadow. The dust settled slowly. Family gatherings split into 2 camps, those who blamed Christine for ruining her sister, and those who finally saw the truth. Her mother's calls went unanswered for weeks. The silence was the only boundary that held.
We made it through, Chris. The money is back. The truth is out. Next month is our first anniversary. Let's not waste it.
A small dinner. Only the people who stood by us. No empty chairs, just ours.
They drafted the guest list with care. 17 names. Patricia's was not among them. Christine wrote a thank you card to Ronald Pierce. She enclosed a photo of her and Eric on their wedding day, the day he'd helped salvage. In the bedroom, Christine lifted the preservation box and gently folded her wedding dress inside. The lace still held the scent of that day.
This dress survived a honeymoon, a betrayal, and a court case. Now it deserves to rest.
The framed wedding portrait found its place on the mantel, next to a new addition, a small card that read First Anniversary. They didn't look back. They looked at the calendar, and for the first time in months, they looked forward. The dining room glowed with candlelight, and the quiet hum of people who had chosen sides, and chosen them. 17 chairs filled. One chair by the window remained deliberately empty, a silent message.
A year ago, I thought I'd lost more than money. I thought I'd lost the ability to trust. Tonight, I know I was wrong.
She raised her glass. To the people who stood by us and to the bank manager who saw through a lie, laughter rippled through the room. The toast became a seal, a public declaration that the wound had closed.
To my wife, she fought for our marriage and our life. I couldn't be prouder.
They cut the anniversary cake, a small, elegant layer, with the same knife they'd used on their wedding day. On the mantel, the wedding portrait gleamed, flanked by a fresh card, 1 year, unbroken. Later, under the porch light, Christine slipped her hand into Eric's. The night was quiet, but for once, it was the right kind. The year was behind them. Patricia was a chapter, not the story. Across town, Patricia sat alone as rain streaked her window like a silent accusation. She scrolled through photos of the dinner, a party she was never invited to. In the frame, Christine and Eric toasted. Patricia's own hand in the reflection was empty. The police report still lay on her coffee table, a permanent bookmark of her worst moment.
I can't blame them. I made this bed. Now I have to lie in it alone.
She switched off the lamp and let the darkness swallow the room. No more drama to perform. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Inside, the silence was complete. A single tear joined the rain on the glass. Tonight, no one was coming. The letters had been sent, the money repaid, the guilty plea entered. Only the consequence remained. Patricia was now the story she had tried to steal, one of regret, not revenge. The morning light found Christine at the kitchen window, her coffee warm, her heart finally quiet. They left the house together and walked the path they always talked about, but never took. Their hands fit together differently now, less careful, more certain. The rings didn't weigh as much. Christine stopped at the mailbox. In her hand was a cream envelope addressed to Mr. Ronald Pierce. Inside, the note read simply, "You reminded us that integrity still has a face. Thank you for believing right over wrong." The mailbox flag went up, a small gesture that closed the final chapter of a theft that almost was. The sun dipped low, turning the sky into shades of celebration. They watched it together, in silence. Christine leaned her head on his shoulder. The wound would scar, but the scar would hold. In a bank office, 3 miles away, Ronald would open that letter and smile. Right over wrong. The camera pulls back, leaving two people who chose each other, and the truth over everything else. $12,400 was never just money. It was trust, folded into white envelopes, handed across a gift table by 140 people. Patricia tried to steal that trust. She failed because one man in a navy suit looked at a check and dialed a number. Ronald Pierce didn't need a badge. He needed a phone, a pen, and 22 years of knowing when something felt wrong. The law did the rest. A plea deal, a stack of apology letters, a misdemeanor that would follow her longer than any felony. Christine and Eric rebuilt on a foundation of hard choices. Their anniversary toast wasn't to luck, it was to accountability. Some family members never called back. That silence became its own kind of peace. The wedding cash is gone, spent wisely on a future no one can intercept. In the end, the story isn't about the sister who stole. It's about the bank manager who paused, the detective who acted, the couple who refused to break, and a single line on a thank you card that said everything, right over wrong. That's a deposit no one can freeze.